Hey there everybody, and welcome to Nerd Dog Reviews. I'm your host Joshua Ryan, and today we're going to be looking at Netflix's upcoming original film, Outside the Wire. The movie will hit the streaming service January 15th, but I'm bringing you the review today, so let's get started. Netflix movies run the entire gambit of quality. You have masterpieces like Marriage Story, The Irishman, Roma, and Okja, but then you also have movies like The Ridiculous Six. So let's talk about where Outside the Wire falls on that scale. First of all, the plot. If you thought 2020 was bad, 2036 looks a whole lot worse. That's the year this movie takes place. There's a civil war tearing apart Eastern Europe, and there's US troops deployed as peacekeepers, and they have these robot soldiers called Gumps to help them keep things under control. But there's also this really bad dude, a warlord named Victor Koval, and he's really digging the whole war vibe, and he's using it to his advantage. He's having a great time. Murder, mayhem, a day at the beach, it's all the same to this guy. So our two leads are Damson Idris as Thomas and Anthony Mackie as Leo, and they're both great. They both do a really good job with their characters. Anthony Mackie has come a long way since rap battling Eminem about mom's spaghetti or whatever it was. We are introduced to Thomas first. He is a drone pilot. He's the guy who flies a drone into the combat zone from the other side of the world and just kills a bunch of people like he's playing a video game. He's extremely detached from the violence because he's never seen it firsthand. He almost represents us, the audience, watching violence and bloodshed on a screen from the comfort of our recliner. But when Thomas is forced to make a questionable decision, he's pushed from the comfort and safety of his computer and into an active war zone, under the command of Anthony Mackie's Captain Leo. But Leo has secrets, and he reveals that he's no ordinary soldier. He's a fourth-generation biotech cyborg. He's like a super advanced RoboCop. Not the remake one, the cool one from the 80s. The base where Thomas and Leo are stationed is a safe zone, heavily armored and surrounded by a wall of barbed wire. But things get hectic when a top-secret mission to take out that pesky warlord Victor Koval takes the inexperienced Thomas outside the wire. This is an action movie first and foremost, but strangely, the action aspect of it is where it feels the weakest. It's not that there isn't any action, there's plenty of it, it's just not done that well. Not as well as the rest of the movie anyways. For instance, throughout most of this movie, the cinematography and the editing are done top-notch. It looks good and it flows great. It never looks cheap. The Gumps look awesome, they look realistic. It's really well done CGI. But when it gets to the action, especially the hand-to-hand action, it feels rushed. Things seem cut together in a forced manner to try and make the action blend, and it really feels like they just didn't know how to handle it properly. And so much of the action is small, quick little bursts of action that seem to start and end way too soon. There's no real build-up and no payoff. Now, out of all of Netflix's original movies to come out, this one is probably most closely compared to Extraction. That 2020 film was another action movie with a war ground setting, and it of course starred another Marvel Cinematic Universe alumni, Chris Hemsworth. That movie was also produced by the Russo brothers, who have directed a lot of the MCU movies, including Captain America Winter Soldier and the Avengers Infinity War. So they know their way around action, and it really shows in Extraction. While that movie itself is flawed, the action is the centerpiece, which is pretty important for an action movie. Where Outside the Wire really is at its best is during its moments of character interaction, and that's not a bad thing. A lot of movies struggle to have believable characters, bonds, and dialogue. Now, if you split this movie into three parts, beginning, middle, and end, it really is at its strongest in the first act. It introduces the characters and the world therein in an interesting and entertaining way. We learn about the characters, what they stand for, what's important to them in ways that feel natural and realistic. It's in the second act, which is really the meat and potatoes of the movie, that it feels it's at its weakest. It drags and it falls into cliches. It plays it safe. The third act actually improves a bit from the second, but there is a part where the movie nukes the fridge, in my opinion. That is, of course, meaning that something really ridiculous and unbelievable happens in the movie. It's named from the scene in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, when Harrison Ford survives a nuclear blast by hiding inside of a fridge. This is a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to talk about the specific scene I'm thinking of here, but I'd love to hear your thoughts after watching it, to see if you picked up on that same moment I did and if it had you scratching your head the way it had me. The movie does have a lot to say about war, and it raises some good questions about collateral damage, casualty of war, and the price of winning in a combat situation, but it addresses those issues and concerns with the subtlety of a bulldozer. There is no subtlety, it just tells you what it wants to say through exposition, because it doesn't think you're smart enough to figure it out. This isn't a bad movie. Netflix has made much worse sci-fi fantasy action movies in the past. There is a lot that this movie does well, but it has lots of stumbles and missteps along the way. If you asked me what I thought of this movie, I'd say, yeah, it's alright. It's okay. It's just fine. And as for where it stands compared to other Netflix originals, I'd say probably right about here. But go watch it for yourself. I'd love to hear your opinions and discuss it with you. This has been a Nerd Dog review, and be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and check back in for more reviews on upcoming series and movies. I'm Joshua Ryan, and I'll catch you next time.